Apalak, hi, how are you?
Hey, hi Amit. All fine. How are you?
Absolutely doing well, Apalak. Apalak, recent news suggests that the government of India is planning to launch its own mobile OS, touted as IndOS,
Right,
essentially to counter the dominance of Google and Apple in India's mobile OS market. Now,
right,
this may potentially be also intended to put a check on the alleged unfair business practices by Google, as per a recent Competition Commission of India order.
right, right.
How would you like to cover this story?
Yeah, it's a double whammy for Google, Amit. Two stories in one. So yeah, I mean, for those who have covered at least the CCI ruling,
Yeah.
let me just put the facts in front of everyone. So India's, competition regulator, which is the Competition Commission of India, has slapped a penalty of around close to around 1,400 crores. I think the exact number is 1,377 crores. You know, uh, for abusing its dominant position in the Android ecosystem. That's A, and also how it plays. It uses unfair means to position its Chrome app, which is their OS, on the Play Store itself. So that's the background story. Now,
Right.
on top of this, you have this new story where government claims that it is planning to launch an operating system to counter Google and Apple.
Mhm.
If you personally ask me, I'm sorry for saying this aloud. Sounds very hollow. This sounds like an empty threat. Uh, it's best. I think it's just to you know kind of deflect the tension that's been happening between CCI and Google.
Mm.
But having said so, you've got to take a step back and understand because a lot of local players, companies like MapMy India, Indus OS, who are local players, uh, are claiming this to be a watershed moment in the tech sector in India, because this is Indian government's rightful stand against tech giants like of the likes of Google. So it's an important story, but you have to understand the implications. You see, for a market like India, India is a market where, as per recent data, 97% of mobile devices, at least smartphones, still operate on Android operating system, right? And the remaining three, my assumption is it's iOS, right? But at least I can't recall of any other operating system currently in the scheme of affairs. And let's be honest, Amit. The mobile operating system is not a ecosystem easy to develop. It's taken Google and Apple years and years of creating a thriving ecosystem. And for ecosystem, essentially, how does the ecosystem flourish? Because when you have a lot of app developers start working on your platform as well, fine-tuning the application for everyone's usage, right? Very, very big names. Microsoft, if you remember, spent billions and billions of dollars on their Windows Mobile operating system for mobile. I remember a fairly fancy launch way back. Right? Mozilla had its Firefox for mobile operating system. Samsung, had Tizen. And what is common between all the three of them? All have failed.
Right.
Yeah, none of them practically exist. So, but having said so, as per Google's CCCI injunction, the big news is very recently Supreme Court actually put an injunction to Google's request to put a stay order to this penalty. The Supreme Court has said, it says we do not want to put a stay on this order. So I think Google has requested for an extension to pay this money up. I leave it for the legal experts to dig deep and help us understand the finer detail. But that's where it stands. But as far as from a Google standpoint, I mean, Google counters it by saying, mobile devices are going to become more expensive and unsecure if they had to tinker around with Android's OS policies. So that's Google's stand. For people like us who have a market outside in view, in parts, Google has a rightful place to say what it says because there are some policies in place which make an ecosystem secure and robust. But having said so, the fundamental challenges, what I've understood, Amit, is for instance, when you buy a mobile device, and mostly, I'm talking about Android-based mobile devices, not the Apple phones. So most of Android operating system-based mobile devices, you'll see a couple of stock applications which reside, right?
Yeah.
You have Google Chrome as a standard browser. You have Google Maps, right? And a couple of host of other applications, which, by the way, if you have a mobile device, Android-based mobile, you can go and check. You cannot uninstall. Yeah. So which is where the challenge is. So CCI says that gives Google an unfair advantage over others. So for instance, why can't I use, say a Map My India application, for instance, right? But by default setting, people will use the Google Maps.
Google Maps.
Right? It's a go-to standard as far as maps goes. I mean, while trying to be as neutral as I possibly can, I'm assuming many Apple users also use Google Maps and don't use the maps which is provided as part of their Apple ecosystem. Yep. So that's the power of the Google Maps, right? Yeah. There's nothing to take away for the fact that Google Maps is an amazing piece of software. It's helped us navigate the world so much better. But I think CCI also has. I mean, there's a reason why they're doing this. It's not about checking the efficacy of whether Google Maps is good or not. It's about being fair and not being fair.
Right.
So, like I said, a double whammy for Google. Not the best times for them to steer through this. So let's see how they manage this. Let's see. Let's hope. Hopefully, the clouds clear up going forward.
Absolutely, Apalak. And if we have to kind of provide a quick summary to this entire thing which is happening, what would that be, Apalak?
I mean, government is clearly flexing its muscle. They're saying it's a shout out. Like I said, it is clearly a hollow threat for government, right? I don't think government reports claim that government's doing this with academia and startups. It takes much more than just that to have a thriving ecosystem, right? But this is more about putting its point forward that, hey guys, you might be big, or if you're operating in our country, you've got to follow the terms and conditions of business, which is equal to everyone. So that's where it is. And I think about the CCI threat, I don't think there's an easy way out for Google here. At some point or the other, if not in whole, not the entire 1,370 crore, but some money will be coughed out by Google to pay up for the penalties.
Right. Sure. Thank you so much, Apalak. Very interesting insights. Will be very interesting to see how Google tackles this. And obviously, we'll keep a tap on this tool and probably try and see if we can cover further episodes. Thank you so much for now, Apalak. We'll connect with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Bye.